Well, let me start off by just saying I am a big fan of your work.
Thank
Um,
you.
Love Diamond Head for years. I You guys are so underrated on a commercial level. It just kills me that you guys never got that level of success. I feel
Yeah.
like that so many other bands did, but you guys are legends. And I was so happy to hear that you were joining up with Saxon. Can you tell me a little bit about how that happened? Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Yes, of course. So in 2022, they were doing a festival called Steelhouse, and the manager called and said, "Paul Quinn's got COVID. Would you be interested in learning the set and stepping in for Paul and do the gig on the weekend?" And so I said, "Yeah, of course." So I went and started learning material, YouTube and Spotify. And then on maybe the Thursday, Friday, I got another call saying he's okay. He's going to be okay to do the gig. Thanks for learning the stuff and all that. So I think that was the foot in the door. And then they worked out, well, he's learnt the set, and he's capable of learning the set.
sure.
He's willing to learn the set. Then we'd also toured. We toured with um, Saxon in 2022. We did a big tour of Europe and the UK. So everybody got to know each other, and we'd meet up in catering and backstage and all that. So they probably worked out I'm a nice guy, I can obviously play. Sometimes I've noticed several members of Saxon would watch Diamond Head as we opened up the night, and you'd see Biff sometimes in the sound check walking around, and I'd be thinking, why is he there? What's he doing? Does he think it's too loud, or what's he making sure it's not? And really, he was probably listening to me, really, and thinking, he might be all right. So I believe Paul had decided, or had said to Biff, over a couple of years, I'm thinking of retiring, and I've had enough of being in Saxon. So I think, they didn't want him to go, obviously. And I think I've heard Biff say, he asked him several times, "Are you sure you want to do this?" and all that. And it was yes. So in March of last year, I got the call to say, "Paul's stepping down. Do you want to take over and start learning the stuff? We've got festivals coming up." They gave me the dates. So we're doing South America, etc. And I immediately said, yes, I'd love to do it, because I know the setup. I know how good Saxon are. I know the material. I like the band. And I just thought it was a fantastic opportunity for me to move up the ladder and play with new people and learn new material. So I just jumped at it. And then after that, he asked me if I'd got any material for that. He said, we're doing a new album, and if you've got any ideas, send them over. So I got lots of ideas, and did that. And he picked three out that he liked, and then we started making the record around June, something like that, of last year.
Yeah, I have to say, this is one of the strongest Saxon albums I think I've heard in a
Thank
long
you.
time. Really good stuff. I mean, I was impressed. I mean, I've been a Saxon fan for a lot of years as well too, but
Yeah.
this one just has a little extra something to it. So, maybe the chemistry with you and the other guys really gels. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is fantastic. So, I mean, excellent work there
Thank
on the
you.
album. So
Maybe having a bit of fresh blood sometimes when you bring in a new guy,
true.
it can reinvigorate a band, can't it? Just having some new ideas and new input and a fresh outlook. So hopefully I brought something to the table.
So, are you considered a permanent member at this point?
Apparently,
Yeah,
they haven't actually said that, but yes, as far as I know, I mean, I'm on the album. There's been pictures on the album.
sure.
I've written on the album. I played all the guitar. Doug and I did all the guitars together, and I'm doing all the gigs. So I think that pretty much constitutes you're in Saxon, yeah.
Full-time
But
member.
well, Paul wanted to leave. He wanted to do other things, step down. I think I mean, he's done his bit, hasn't he, Paul? He's done 23 albums and been there since the 70s. So,
Well, I think you're a great fit, and I'm really
thank you.
glad that they reached out to you to step
Yes,
in.
so am I. They could have gone for some young, hot whiz kid, couldn't they, who can play super fast and all that. But no, I think they wanted an English guy. They wanted someone around the same age, and they wanted ideally somebody from the new wave British heavy metal camp, that sort of style to fit, not just some shredder who could,
Yeah, and
overplay.
that actually brings me to my next question. You're both Diamond Head and Saxon were part of the new wave of British heavy metal coming up. When did you guys first meet? When did you meet the guys from Saxon the first time?
I can't remember exactly. I do remember we did a gig together in 2002 in America at the New Jersey Metal Meltdown 4, where it was Diamond Head and Saxon. And I think we've met at festivals, and I definitely remember chatting to Paul at a couple of festivals where we'd be in catering or something.
So
And
back in the 80s, no contact.
I'd say 90s
Yeah,
or
wow.
even the noughties. I don't remember meeting Saxon in the 80s. I don't think we ever crossed paths.
Amazing.
Yeah,
You guys were all out there doing your thing, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
wild that you never crossed paths really until later.
Well, there wasn't so many festivals as there are now. It was
Sure.
more, Saxon were bigger than Diamond Head, so Saxon shot up the ladder quicker, and they'd be doing things like Top of the Pops in the UK, and we're getting on radio, and we were probably a bit behind Saxon, trying to get up there. But we never got a support tour or anything with Saxon, so we didn't really, connect. And then of course Diamond Head stopped in '85. We kind of split up and then reformed in 1990 and then split up again in 1994. So we've had a couple of periods where we weren't doing anything at all. But yeah, so anyway, we're here now.
So let me ask you, how does this affect your role in Diamond Head? I mean, you still, perform, do things.
Yeah,
Is this something you'll
well,
have to juggle between the Saxon dates and
it's tricky. That is the thing that's most difficult. We can't just book like we have been doing summer festivals across Europe. And last year we did 3, and 2 of them clashed with Saxon. So this year I've said I can't just be available to book Diamond Head gigs willy-nilly,
yeah,
because they're bound to clash or they'll cause a problem. Because Saxon's a very busy band, much busier than Diamond Head. So I can't say, oh, I can't do this gig to Saxon, because I've got a Diamond Head gig. So I said, let's pause Diamond Head for 12 months and we continue to talk. We do Zoom meetings and things, and we can decide what we're going to do in the background while we see how the land lies.
sure. Yeah, because I think that would be quite a juggling act. And like you said,
Yeah.
Saxon is very busy. I mean, you look at the
Yes.
tour dates, you guys got a US tour coming up, which I'm very excited for. I'm looking forward to trying to catch you guys on this tour. So how do you feel about doing a US tour?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's also going to be the longest tour I've ever done.
Oh, really?
It's 7 weeks. Yeah, and I've never done that long before. The longest I ever did was 5 weeks.
Mhm.
And normally we'd be in a van with gear in the back and
Sure.
staying in motels and things. But this time it's a tour bus, so that'll be luxury. And of course, Saxon got crew. We very often tour without crew, or maybe just a merch guy. And so that'll be nice to turn up at the venues, and it's all done. It's all done for you.
So you have the load in and everything taken care of, and you just show up and do your
Fantastic.
part.
It's
Yeah.
a luxury I'm still getting used to.
Well, that's great. Like I said, I'm so happy to see you get that opportunity.
Thank you.
Um, you know, and I have to mention, of course, with Diamond Head, not to get off the subject of Saxon, but I mean, Metallica has really helped bring you guys to the forefront covering the songs. Um, and it's amazing that I meet younger kids. I call them kids because I'm older myself, but in their
Kids. It's
20s
for
and
the
stuff.
kids.
Yeah, in their 20s, and you know they know about Diamond Head, and you know they're fans, and they love that. I think a lot of that might have happened from exposure from Metallica first, and then they go back and research bands like that.
Sure.
And the same with Saxon. I mean, a lot of these, it's amazing this younger generation has really picked up on, you know, the heavy metal from
Yeah,
more the 80s, 90s time period, than
yeah.
kind of what was happening just recently. So very
Well,
cool to see a new
maybe
generation.
a lot of the kids don't, want to find out where it
Yeah,
came from. They might listen to Metallica and think, okay, so who influenced Metallica? Where does this style come from? And then they'd look back to the new wave of British heavy metal, wouldn't they? And discover bands maybe like Diamond Head and Saxon.
do you ever feel like Metallica stole a little bit of your thunder? Because I mean, it's pretty close. I mean,
It
their cover
is, but
version.
they did the work. You
Yeah,
can't deny the fact that they made great records and they toured and toured and toured much, much, much more than Diamond Head ever did. Diamond Head didn't even get over to the States till 2002. So we missed our boat, really. We missed our opportunities. Um, Metallica deserve everything they've got, I think. I've followed their career since 81, really 82, and I've just been blown away by how well they've done, how well Lars has run that band. Incredible.
be nice if they would take you guys out on a tour.
Well, they have
Support.
a habit of not taking old bands out, don't they? They take
Yeah,
out the new bands
yes, they do.
so that they can convert the kids, their kids, the new
Yeah.
kids
I suppose they're
into,
trying to build a new generation of fans and keep
yes.
it going.
If you
So
just went out with older bands, you'd just be playing to older guys, 50-year-old guys.
true. People like
So
me.
they want the energy, I think, of
Yeah.
the kids, and they want to make an 18-year-old kid into a lifelong fan.
So let's move on to like the guitar playing for you. So when did you start playing guitar? How old were you? Did you take lessons? I mean, how did this come about for you?
Yeah, I didn't really take lessons. My older brother played guitar, 6 years older than me, he was. So he got me started really and let me use his guitar when I was around 14, 15, just going into 15. And then I would start buying albums, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, etc. And eventually formed Diamond Head in 1976 when I was 16.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people like Richie Blackmore was a big influence, and Page and Schenker, and then Van Halen. But I pretty much wanted to be like Blackmore at the start, but without my brother encouraging me and allowing me to use his gear and things like that. And he was always there with a compliment or a some kind of encouragement to that new song's great, or I like that solo and things like that. He was fantastic at giving me confidence and complimenting the band and making sure we moved forward.
He was the early
So
motivator for you.
yeah, very much so. He was a massive help in the early days.
So how do you come about, like, you know, you said they asked you for material for the new Saxon
Mhm.
album, if you had anything original. I mean, how do these parts come? Do you just kind of play, noodle around and feel out things that you like, or do you have kind of a set process that you go through when you're writing material?
Well, normally I'll practice every day anyway, and sometimes you'll just come across a riff. You might come up with one instantly and quickly tape it, or you may practice for an hour and nothing comes at all. And so I can go a week and nothing comes, or I could come up with three riffs in 10 minutes. It's really who knows. Then I make a demo. If I like the idea, if I come back to the idea and I like it, I'll do a demo, and I've got Pro Tools XL. So I can do home demos with the drum machine and I'll play the bass. And then I've got a bunch of those sort of tracks. And I did lots of work in COVID because being a musician, I couldn't work. There's no gigs whatsoever for at least 18 months. And so I built up a load of material. So the minute Biff said to me, have you got any ideas? I'm thinking, yeah, I've got loads actually. So I could just, you know, an hour later, I could send them to him on across the internet, and that was all it took.
So you said he liked three.
Yeah.
Which three wound up on this album?
Um, Hellfire and Damnation,
Excellent.
Madame Guillotine, and 1066.
Wow, all great songs too.
Thank
Really
you.
good stuff. Yeah. So
I-
he picked well. I'd love to hear the other stuff that he didn't pick, but maybe we'll get
well,
onto
that
it.
might come out
Yeah, it
in
might
the
come on the next
future.
album.
The next one.
You never know. So that would be interesting also.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a U.S. tour, and then is there a whole European tour slated as well?
These festivals, we're doing the Judas Priest tour.
Oh, great.
Starts next month, which will be UK, then Europe.
Okay.
And then after we come over to the States, we do that 7-week tour. Then we're back to Europe, and we're doing a bunch of festivals across Europe. We're doing two with Metallica. We're doing Hellfest in France, and we're doing tons of rock in Norway with Metallica. So that'll be nice. Hopefully we can meet up and you know, catch up on life.
Well, maybe somebody will put a bug in their ear and they'll bring you out to jam. That
Who
would
knows? It's
that would
happened
be,
before.
yeah, it would be
It could
great.
happen again.
That would be great. What do you look forward to the most, I suppose, on your upcoming tour with Saxon, and what would you find maybe to be a little more daunting as
I
far?
don't know. I hadn't thought of that. I enjoy the bit on stage, the you know, the excitement and the crowds. It's nice to play to big crowds because, of course, in Diamond Head sometimes you play to, you know, 50 people. You might be playing somewhere you've never played before, and if it's not been very well advertised, and that can drain a lot of the energy out of the show. But these are all big crowds. Every gig I've done so far with Saxon has been pretty big. We just did South America, and the crowds are mad there. And they were at every airport and every hotel. And when you get to the venue, there'd be hundreds of fans, you know, wanting autographs
I've heard
and
this from South Central America. I mean, it's just an amazing
craziness,
scene.
like Beatlemania.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they really support metal, it's,
Fantastic.
you
Yeah, I've
know,
never had that before.
yeah. Well, congratulations. That's great. You're due. So,
Thank you.
it's very nice I'm sure, to pull up and see fans, waving signs and happy to see
Yeah, yeah.
wanting autographs and the whole
And
bit.
they start chanting like during the gig, you know, they start chanting Saxon between songs. Sometimes you have
Great.
to stop and wait for them to finish because they're so into it. They've
That's
gone into
great.
the sing song bits, you know.
That has to drive your performance, I would think, because,
Brilliant.
you
Brilliant.
feed, I'm sure you feed off of that energy, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
It works both ways, doesn't it? We give them the music and they give us some energy, and it definitely works. So yeah, I really like it. I really enjoy the touring aspect.
Yeah, and I guess, maybe just the length of it, like you said, it would be 7 weeks, would be the longest one. Maybe that would be the thing that might be the
We'll
most.
see. Yeah, until I've done it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. And you know, with crew and a tour bus, it makes life easier. I'm sure the guys wouldn't want to do it if it was going to be tough. You know, I'm
Yeah.
sure that over the years they've done so many gigs and tours that they've worked out the best way to do it in the most comfortable way.
Yeah.
So
If you're
I'm just
traveling in
reaping the
comfort and
benefit.
luxury,
Yeah. Well, I'm
not so
getting
bad.
the benefit of their work and experience, aren't I?
So what would you say, I guess maybe a personal and on a musical level, what are you most proud of in your career so far?
I suppose musically, Am I Evil? Because it's such a big song and it's just got a life of its own. So a song that was written in my bedroom in 1979 has gone around the world and is on, you know, millions of records and things like that. So the songs really, the fact that they're out there and people still want to hear them and they still get played on radio and stuff like that, and the fact that it brings in money, so it's royalties. It means you know, I've got a standard of living that
Sure.
you know, to become a musician really. it's kind of a dream when you're a teenager, but I've actually done it. And yeah, I'm not the biggest star in the world or anything, but it's brilliant that you can have a career in music for 40 odd years and not necessarily be, you know, a household name.
Well, you are in my books. And many guys,
Your household.
and many guys like me, really. I mean,
Yeah,
I played those records to death, still listen to them all the
thank you.
time. I love the early Diamond Head stuff. And you're playing, I mean, I think you have a recognizable style,
Yeah,
Saxon, the new album, it really comes through.
great,
I think it added a little, maybe like you said earlier, a little fire, a little fresh blood, just that little bit of difference. Not,
great.
not that Paul, was any kind of slouch or anything, but it's just nice to hear that inserted into what they already.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely that it's gone that way, that it's worked positively rather than negatively. I'd have been weird about lots of people saying, we're missing Paul Quinn and,
Yeah.
Brian's not very good or whatever. If it had gone negatively, it would have been awful for me. But the fact that it's gone well has given me a real boost and a confidence. And I think it's helped Biff as well, because he would have made that decision. And you don't want to make the wrong decision. You know what people saying, oh, he's no good. You want to get so and so, and he hasn't had that at all. And every single comment we've seen has been positive. So
Oh, fantastic. I mean, when I saw that,
yeah, I think it's great. It's
I was
fantastic.
like, wow, this is probably going to be a really
It was
great
a good.
hit.
I think he made a good choice, though I say it myself, in all modesty.
So tell me about your practice regimen. I mean, did you practice on a daily basis to stay,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I do.
up to
I
shape?
like to practice and keep the fingers going, maintain a level. I've been working on fast down picking with a metronome for quite a while now, because I realized after joining Saxon that there's a lot of fast down picking in Saxon, more than in Diamond Head, and I'm not particularly great at that, not like a James Hetfield. So I thought I better work on that a little bit, and the metronome has helped me with that, so it's not quite, trying not to tense up.
So, and I promise you, I don't want to offend here because I'm getting older myself. Uh, is it an issue maybe sometimes? I mean, do you have any sort of things like arthritis or anything that gets in the way as you get a
I've
little
got a
older?
little bit, yeah, but it seems to be okay. It's not stopping me playing. There was a time when I couldn't make a fist with this hand.
Really? Wow.
It would go to there
Yeah.
and it wouldn't go any further, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
okay now. So, I can make a fist with both hands at the moment. And that's been like that for maybe a year or so.
Huh.
So
That's maybe a
there's
use
a
it or
little bit
lose
of
it thing.
swelling, like you see on older gentlemen, you get a little bit of arthritis, but somehow they're pretty well oiled, and maybe the amount of practice I do is keeping them going. So I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a use it or lose it, maybe, the more you
Possibly
keep your joints and muscles,
could stiffen up if you don't practice.
yeah, yeah. Well, great. That's good because, I do hear some stories sometimes how it gets a little harder, for some of the
Mm.
guys as it goes along and you know,
I find it harder to come up with ideas, as I've got older. But I'm still able to do it. It's just not quite as regular, or
is that
as it
maybe just
used to
though
be.
because you've been doing it so long, you feel like maybe you're repeating something
Possibly,
already done?
possibly, or your brain is just not quite so quick and agile
Yeah,
as you are when you're 20.
yeah. Well, mine sure isn't.
There you go.
So I know over time it does make a difference, certainly. Well, this is just fantastic. I've really enjoyed you taking time out to talk to us at Excess Rock. Like I said, we're
Thank you.
all big fans of your work here in Diamond Head and all supporting you going forward with Saxon, and looking forward to catching you out on the road, getting some great tour shots and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So all the best with this tour, and hopefully you hold up well over the 7 weeks and have a great time on your tour throughout US.
Thank you very much. I hope so too. Yeah. Nice to chat.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it greatly. All right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.